Well, today's certainly been the pick of the week. I think that is what is deserving of showing you all these four different views from across our SkyTrack network of cameras. And happy you're joining us here on the Wave News Extra live stream to round out the week. But we've got our bases covered, the views from Jeffersonville, downtown, Paristown, the breeze blowing into Albany with a very pleasant 77 degrees compared with what could be a lot cooler, so we'll make this count as long as it can. And a reminder, of course, the storm tracking team letting you know there's going to be rain to kind of start our morning tomorrow where their line is going to come in, the risks for that. So make sure to join us tonight on Wave News at 11. For now, grateful that you're here as we are continuing to follow some of the top stories from all over the day as the hours have passed here in the Wave Now studio. And the context of what we're going to show you here is pretty consistent days of rain leading to flash flooding in Indiana. Tonight, the search is still going on for a man who went missing in these floodwaters. In fact, we sent a crew out there to check things out and meet up with Indiana DNR. They've spent the day out there in Jackson County trying to find this person. He was on a boat. We learned it capsized east of Cortland, if you're familiar with the area, around 7:30 this morning. Now, witnesses say the person in question wasn't wearing a life jacket when he went underwater. DNR has been out with its helicopter, drone, airboats all day trying to find him, and also finding out that this party group of two, this pair, they were on the airboat trying to help someone who'd apparently been stuck in a submerged car. So then things went wrong with that particular airboat. It got forced to go under a bridge. Then the capsizing happened. We were able to talk to Officer Jim Hash of the Department of Natural Resources about where they're assessing things right now.
Well, our efforts are going to continue through this evening, and then we will reassess the situation with the future weather that we're probably going to encounter tomorrow.
So Officer Hash aware of what's coming in the hours ahead. And with more rain in the forecast tomorrow, the search team fears the waters are going to rise, and that'll make their mission even more dangerous. Another update to share with you all. Back when people were so startled by what happened 6 months ago, this fire that damaged more high schools' medical arts facilities, that has been forcing the students who use this day in and day out to find other spaces to learn, to practice. But today they say they're glad to be back in what's been a pretty familiar space. This is what the students have access to. Again, you see the state-of-the-art equipment. Several community organizations joined together to not just, as the school was putting in the money for the rebuild, but then finding all the partners needed to donate the equipment. A teacher we talked to just today says they have even more than they needed and had before, but students are also taking things in stride and applying lessons from that experience of loss from the fire.
I feel like they have a heartfelt connection of, like, even though something tragic has happened, they have worked so hard. And this year, when we certify these students, it's going to show. And they haven't stopped practicing. They haven't stopped anything this year because of this tragedy.
And that was teacher Kimberly Bruce. Nearly 300 students are now enrolled in Moore's Health Science Pathway program. So we are doing, again, if you've noticed, sort of this pattern of quick check-ins with you all on the live stream, whether it's through the Wave Now app on your smart TV devices or on the live streams. You might have also noticed, just trying to fill in for some of the shifts while our senior most, mentor involved, Don G, taking some well-deserved time off, but just sort of shifting some things around to cover for those newscasts. And so what we also lean on is the reporting our Wave News team is out there getting, spending out time in rural southern Indiana, but really being there to see what comes of this case that is the shooting and killing of two men, a father and a stepfather. The suspect now making his first appearance in court. It was 23-year-old Easton Good. The deputies arrested. They found both men's bodies in a home along Georgetown Greenville Road in Floyd County. Our Logan Perrone was in the courtroom today, even though he did not have a camera. There was a lot of information he was able to relay back to us and has the latest on the charges and what the next steps are going to be looking into next week.
A little more than 24 hours after two men were killed in a Greenville home, the alleged killer faced a Floyd County judge. 23-year-old Easton Good was arrested in the shooting deaths of his father, 55-year-old Kelly Good, and his stepfather, 53-year-old Bradley Butler. No cameras were allowed in the courtroom Friday as Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Del Philpott told the judge they plan to charge Good with 2 counts of murder.
It's a terrible tragedy. Nothing good is obviously coming of this.
Deputy Public Defender Evan Bardock requested medical treatment for Good's injuries and a mental health evaluation.
I think just given the circumstances, that's the appropriate thing to do. I think anybody who has gone through something like that, that would be the appropriate step to take.
Good has one criminal record in his history, a 2023 battery charge he took a plea deal for. He pleaded guilty to battery of a friend during a night of drinking, fracturing that person's jaw in 5 places. According to the affidavit, that friend, quote, has autism and has the mindset of a 10-year-old. Good served 2 days in jail and was on probation until last September. His plea deal required behavioral modification and anger management. The initial hearing for Thursday's shooting has been moved to Monday at 11:30 a.m. Bardock says they will enter a not guilty plea.
Our Logan Perone reporting there, and some of Good's family, since our crews were there in the courtroom, some of his relatives were there. His sister apparently even asking the judge at one point if she could give her brother a hug. The judge set the terms that they could only talk in a private room with an attorney present, and the family is not commenting, at least as far as questions or statements from Wave News at this time. Much more to share with you on the other side of this quick break, folks, as we'll keep going through this live stream here in the Wave Now studio. Hope you stay with us on this Friday night. We'll be right back. We're back with more Wave News Extra. Just a recap for you all as you wrap up your Friday, at least the work part of the Friday, with an update here about a person who had to be taken to the hospital and a family dog. Fire crews also rescued it. This was a house fire just this afternoon along the Jefferson County, Bullitt County line. Multiple fire crews had to come in. They got the call around 1:30 p.m. This was Rocky Road near Mount Washington Road. And take a look at the size of the smoke just shooting up into the sky. So firefighters again confirming they did rescue one person, one dog. They needed to use a oxygen mask specifically made for pets to make sure they could get the animals breathing in check, just to make sure that they could then take any further care of it. This home, as you could see just by these pictures, very heavily damaged. The cause of the fire will still be investigated, and you're seeing their vantage point of that smaller special oxygen mask for the dog that they were able to rescue. All right, bringing you back here into the Now studio for traffic purposes. And again, this is in the shadow of the tragedy of the UPS deadly plane crash from last November. But perhaps a reminder of it has been, if you've needed to still move around parts of Grade Lane, right around where the crash happened. Well, we now know of a public checkpoint, a sort of perimeter that city leaders have set up to keep the general public away. I want to show you the one that has been now removed. It's closed. This is the South Security Checkpoint at Grade Lane and Melton Avenue. City leaders say that these checkpoints, they put them in place just to make sure businesses could stay safe. They could control how they were moving while investigation and evidence and debris cleaning was still going on. Right now, Metro telling us there's no need anymore to limit access specifically when it comes to the not Melton Industrial Park. However, this doesn't mean that all of the checkpoints are coming down just yet. In fact, Grade Lane between Crittenden Drive and Knopp Avenue, that is still either closed or having this police checkpoint because there's still some necessary construction going on. And moving ahead, you will probably start to notice in your upcoming power bills. This is a conversation that our David Mattingly will set this up for you. But in essence, this is LG&E talking to us about why you will be paying more for electricity and why they say it is money well spent.
We need to do more. We are seeing stronger, more severe storms across the region.
LG&E is going to pay off later. Customers on average will be paying $5.14 more a month for electricity. So David Mattingly finding in his report that we're going to play here that this extra cash is supposed to help keep several severe weather from turning off our lights.
Thunderstorms, tornadoes, ice storms. As weather damage to the LG&E power grid continues to get worse and more frequent, the company now says it's time for an upgrade.
Some of our most impactful storms have happened just in the last several years, where we're seeing outages that have topped 100,000 and in some cases led to multi-day restoration efforts.
The new rate increase approved by the Kentucky Public Service Commission is paying for resilience to ensure more customers spend less time in the dark. That means tougher poles, lines, and better technology.
In the next 5 years, we're going to be upgrading hundreds of our aging substations, some of which date back to the 1920s.
To drive that point home, LG&E invited us in for a rare look at the facility where they keep all of this equipment. This is a place that is secured by guarded gates and fencing, topped by barbed wire. We found massive steel poles like these waiting for installation, new wooden poles ready to replace old ones, and these devices, over 100 of them, called electronic reclosers. They can automatically reroute and restore power quicker than ever when tree limbs shut down a line.
Our crew would actually have to go out to the site and manually operate those switches to reroute power. So it took a lot longer, as to where we can reroute things in under 5 minutes.
The upgrades will be deployed to areas most prone to extended outages. This includes neighborhoods where lines are hard to reach and repair when something goes wrong.
And the last tidbit that David had in his report, but you can read at least what he was able to share in the newscast, but you can find the full reporting he was able to publish on wave3.com. But David learning some of those neighborhood lines and those particular trouble, risk likely neighborhoods, they could be moved underground or to even new locations. But I would encourage you to check that out as we'll continue to follow and see, what these rates, the averages will look like, what that sort of recoup on the revenue will look for the infrastructure investment at that point. We're going to take another break, folks. Again, this is a condensed live stream we're doing here from the Now Studio to round out our Friday, a very busy week. I'm sure you all are dealing, going through your weeks and everything you got to take care of. We're just going to come back, do this quick reset, bring you the last batch of stories. We'll be right back after this. So the rain not necessarily gone from our weekend planning, guys, even though it's been the story of the week throughout weather-wise. But this is to let you know, in case you hadn't gotten the updates, if you had plans to check out the Tailspin Ale Fest at Bowman Field. Well, the start time for even the VIP and the regular guests to come in, that's been pushed back to sort of try to skip the risk of the worst of the storm weather coming in. The festival team telling guests they're delaying their gate opening by 30 minutes respectively to avoid the most severe threats. This is an event that's completely outdoors. So the VIP guests are going to start coming in at 2:30, general admission at 3:30. But for those who love checking Tailspin Ale Fest out, they will get to sample and try more than 250 beers from all across Kentucky. We're going to wrap up with a couple more stories to share with you from right here in the Now studio. One has to do with a fundraiser and a meaningful charity to support for a Louisville family, or family of a woman killed in a motorcycle crash here in town. They want to keep her memory alive by supporting the Kentucky Humane Society. This is a picture of Cheyenne Carpenter. She died in a crash on Westport Road last year. Her husband was injured but survived. They both adopted a dog named Boone from the KHS in 2020. Cheyenne's other family members say they, along with Boone the dog, are still trying to navigate life without her. And on the heels of what would have been her 30th birthday, her mom, Sandra Mattingly, hopes that they can keep their daughter's spirit alive by inviting others to give back to a group like KHS.
She was a traveler and a hard worker and a learner, and she loved her friends. She loved just living life to the fullest. And so I want people to do that as well. I know she would find great joy in knowing that people are coming together in love and affection and doing good things for one another, or taking a trip.
So the fundraiser will coincide with Cheyenne's would-be 30th birthday at the Humane Society's East Campus from 2:30 to 3:30. We do have a little bit more on the story in our conversation with her mom on our website, wave3.com. The last story I want to share with you folks, as we're going to get things close to the 8:30 mark, is a unanimous vote we saw play out in the Kentucky State Senate. It is going to help the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library program grow across the state, trying to get to communities, specific places where otherwise it's hard to sign up for this service, where it does send free books to children as young as a week old, but just to have appropriate age books for when they're able to start reading, and up to 5 years old. There was some opposition this week from one state senator arguing that the state should stop funding this program. Wave News reporter Fernando Garcia Franciscini was looking at both sides of that debate happening on the chamber floor.
132,000 children are currently enrolled in Dolly Parton's Imagination Library program. They all get one free book a month.
It costs us about $15 per year per child to send 12 books to that child, for a total of $2.5 million a year.
Democratic Senator Cassie Chambers Armstrong says the state gets a big return for what she calls a small investment.
A 2024 study of kindergarten readiness showed that participants outperformed non-participants in 7 out of 8 reading metrics.
However, the program is facing low participation numbers from children in foster care or who come from low-income families. A resolution from the senator would address that, but it was met with opposition from Republican Senator Michael Nemes, who confessed he's never been a fan of Imagination Library.
Why should middle income, high income, and the rich taxpayers buy books for each other?
Senator Nemes filed an amendment to the resolution asking to get rid of state funding for the program. He says he proposed the resolution because he thought the program should have already been targeting children from every background.
Why should we fund this if they're not doing it in the first place?
But before a vote on Friday, Nemes withdrew the amendment, saying Senator Chambers Armstrong had answered his questions. After a unanimous vote, Imagination Library and the Department of Libraries and Archives have 1 year to find ways to reach children in need. Fernando Garcia Franceschini, Wave News.
Now, Wave News and Wave 3 sponsors the Imagination Library program. It's something you can read much more about in the work we've done as a station before. And again, it's something that when you check in on wave3.com, one, it's to let you know that there is that partnership for the transparency part there. But two, these are at least for the other stories that we're working on. Just everything is updated here. Our shout out, kudos to the digital team for when breaking news happens or stories play out and there's updates to share bit by bit through the day. For example, this search in Jackson County after that boat capsized, it's all there at your disposal to check in. All original reporting from the Wave Originals team, troubleshooters, everything in between. Just scroll down and find what it is and is you're looking for. We'll hope you join us for Wave News at 11 tonight. We're going to have the full team preparing their reporting, the stories to share with you about what's going on in our communities. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harned walking us through, hey, it's been a wonderfully warm day. What's on tap, the window for the rain and the more serious conditions tomorrow. Beyond that for Sunday, looking to temperatures that will feel actually more on the normal side as we move through March. Our Meredith Lee, Julie Richardson, of course, with their stories also to share with you. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys at 11. Until then, I'm Jose Sosaya here in the Wave Now studio. We'll see you back here next week. Until then, take care. Enjoy the weekend.